All right, thank you so much for joining me. So in this video, I'm going to show you, in this tutorial, I'm going to show you data wrangling. And what data wrangling simply means is when you are trying to clean data, clean a raw data so that it can be ready for analysis. So that's data wrangling, and that's what we are going to do. So the data we are going to clean today, so this is the data we are going to analyze. This data is not purified, is still raw. Okay, you can see that the numbering is not correct, and so this is automobile CSV for data analysis. So, and then we're not going to use VS Code, so I'm going to close it. We are going to use a Jupyter notebook. So what I will do now is I'll head over to my command line, and then I'll type cmd, and then I'll open my command line interface. So, and then I'll type Jupyter notebook, Jupyter, then space notebook, like this, notebook, and then hit enter. So now let's give it time to load. So we are using Jupyter notebook to analyze it. So what we are going to do is we're going to use pandas library, we are going to use NumPy and matplotlib, and then we are also going to use seaborn, okay, so that we can be able to analyze the data properly. So now, if you are new to Jupyter notebook, I made a video on it, on how to use a Jupyter notebook. You can go to my Twitter and to my YouTube channel, and then you'll be able to see. So now when you open your Jupyter notebook like this, the first thing is you have to go to new here. So I want to create, so you can see all the folder on my system, but then this is not where I want it. So I want to click on here and create a new folder, and then I'll call this folder demo class, or demo, let me call it demo, and then I'll open this and then after opening it, I want to add the file that the CSV file we want to analyze. So I'll click on upload, so that I will upload. So I'll go to desktop, and then go to Pisola, and then go to free class, and then go to automobile, and then so this is the file we want to analyze. And then once we open like this, so let's open it and see what is inside. So if I open it like this, you can see the data that we are having here. So you can see the rows, okay. This is the row, this is the column. So you can see each of the column with the make, the fuel type, their aspiration, number of doors, body size, peak, rim, and the rest of them. So, and all of these data are still raw, they are not correct. So you can see what is here, okay. So it's not really correct. So what we are going to do, we are going to make it we are going to analyze it, clean it, and then make it ready for usage. So now I will close this tab and then head over here. Now that you remember, this is the new folder I've created, demo, and then the file we want to analyze. So now it is very important for you to upload the file you want to analyze here, so that you can be able to get your load your data very easily, and you will see that very quickly. So if I now click on new again, and then I now click on Python 3, so I can decide to use terminal, but then I'll just go use IP kernel. All right, so and then that will open. All right, so once it open, so this is not doesn't have a title here. So now I am now in a Jupyter lab where I'm now in an interface where I can now analyze data. Like I said earlier, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to install all the libraries that we're going to be using. So we'll be using pandas, NumPy, and matplotlib, and seaborn. So now that I've the first thing I will need to do is to install this library. So I will do pip install pandas, NumPy, and all the names. So this is one of the beautiful thing about Python. You can install everything with just one line of code. All right, so it's so awesome, and you can easily achieve this. So once I get here, I'll just click on this play button. I don't know why it's throwing this error, but then let's see. All right, so it has finished installed. All right, so I have it says that I've installed before. I think that's what it's saying. All right, so then now you can see that I need to restart the kernel, so I can come here and restart the kernel like this, and then the kernel will restart. Now this is for you to update the kernel with the libraries and packages you install. Now that we've restarted, so I'll need to comment this out. Okay, I'll comment this out so that that line of code never gets to read again, so that when we run the code, it doesn't get, that line doesn't get code. Now the first thing we want to do is we want to set the display. Now this is very important because for better readability, and remember we are dealing with a large data set. If you look at that data I showed you, is in thousands. All right, so for you to have a better readability, we need to set the section. So we'll now use pandas. Okay, so let's now import all these libraries that we just added. So we have been able to import pandas as pd, numpy as np, and then we are also importing matplotlib, and then importing pyplot as a plt, and then we are also importing cbon as cns. Remember that the as is an alias. All right, just the same way you have your name as John, but you have an alias John Money. Okay, so the as is just an alias. The same thing, we are also importing time date time, so that we'll be able to format the date column properly. All right, then so these are the libraries and that we'll be using. Now let's move further. I can decide to do everything in the same line, but it will not be readable. So here I'm doing importation. So if I want to create a new cell, I can just click on, so if I click on the up one, it creates a space at the top. If I click on this, it creates a space at the down. Sorry, so let me delete this and delete this, and then I want to be here before I create a down, and like this. Okay, so now that we are here, now that we've imported, so now let's set the readability of our whatever we are going to get displayed. So now remember, I'm using pandas to set that, so I'll do pd, and then I'll do dot set option. So the dot set underscore option here is a method that allows us to set how we want it to display. So I want the maximum, it should display maximum column. So I'll call the display like this. Oh, sorry, come here, call this display, and then under display I'm then call the dot max, so the max column. All right, like this, column, and then like this, and then we do comma. Okay, so and then we set it to none. All right, so like this, right? Okay, so this is how we want to set the display option property, sorry, the display, so that it will give us a better readability. Remember that whatever we are doing, whatever is going to get displayed, it should display the maximum column, but it shouldn't it shouldn't jump back. That's why we are doing this, so for better readability. Okay, all right, now let us now go and load our data. So now that we've set this, we can, like I said, so but then I want a new cell, so let us load our data. So for us to load our data, what do? We'll now run our, now we can wrap it inside a try and cache, so something like this. So if I do df, and I do equal to, and I do pd, remember pandas, then I'll do dot read. Okay, dot read method. Okay, and then underscore csv, like this. So I'm saying pandas please read the csv file, then I'll now specify. So imagine that the file that we want to specify, which the name is automobile.csv, right? So do automobile .csv. So now imagine if it is outside of this this file that we created. That means we have to specify the path, which will take us on a long journey. But then because we have it in the same folder, we can just do it like this. All right, that's the benefit of doing it like this. So since we do it like this, if we now print, let me print df now, so to be sure that you can see the file that we've just added. So I'll do df, and then let's run it. So you can click on the play button. Okay, df is not specified. All right, so it's not seen. Okay, so I'm doing something here. Is df pd. Okay, so it's not seen. So because let me see if I can move this to the next line, and then let's run it again. But I think it should be able to see, but then since it's not seen, so it's as if I need to let me move this implementation inside the whole cell. And for us not to waste time, I think I might do everything inside one cell. All right, now so where is it? So I'll come here. I'll place it here. Okay, and then bring this here, move this from there, and then bring it here like this. Okay, all right, so now let's now run it again. Let's run the code again. Okay, so it wasn't saying it, but then let's see what it will tell us this time around. Shift enter. So you can do shift enter, or you click on the play button here. Any which one you do will work. All right, so you just want to be sure that this is displaying, but I think it's still loading. All right, so we have enough data there. We have enough data. So let's see what comes up, but then I won't be waiting. So now let's continue. So let's continue. Now that we've been able to read our CSV file, the next thing we have been able to add it to read our CSV file. The next thing we will need to do is now initialize our data exploration. So this is very important. So how do we want to how we need to understand the data we are dealing with? That's what we want to do now. All right, and this is very important. It is important because you cannot analyze the data you do not understand. All right, so if I do, so I'll need to now begin to check the kind of data types and the missing values that are there. And for us to do that, what do we do? So I'll do print. I can create a variable for it, but then let's do print, and then I'm going to pass in df.info like this. All right, df.info. Okay, and let's run it. So this is so I need to, it's a method, so I need to pass in like this. Okay, I need to make it a method like this. So I'm calling this .info method so that we can check the data type and the missing value. So if I run the code, okay, all right, it's not seeing the none there. Okay, the none there is returning. Oh, it's capital N, not small n. All right, capital N, not small n. So now this is the beauty of running code in this environment, because even if you will know your error. That's why I always say that don't come to notebook until you have gotten the fundamental, because imagine you are just new to programming and you don't understand why this is, so you'll now be confused. Okay, so now let's now run it again. So now this is what is returning for us. Okay, so now these are the files that we have. So we have a not null count, a non-null count. Okay, 201. So from symboling to normalized losses, make, fuel type, and the price there. So now this is where I want you to focus on. This is the data types. We have 7 float data type. We have 9 integer data type. We have objects. We have 10 objects. Okay, so remember that strings is an object, so strings are also involved in the object there. All right, so these are some of the data types that we have in our file. So under this here now you can see integer, object, object float, integer, object, object, and all of that. So these are the three data types that we have here. All right, and now that we've now known our data type, the next thing we need to do is to describe our data. Okay, so we want to check for numerical columns, and this is very important because when you are dealing with data, you need to understand which one is numerical and which one is non-numerical. So there is numerical and non-numerical values. Okay, so but in this file we have numerical columns, so we want to check for it. So for us to do that, what do we do? So let's go back here, and then the same way we did. So remember I said that we can create a variable, but then we are not creating a variable, so I'll just do df, and then I'll do dot describe like this. Okay, dot describe like this, and then with a method, and then I'll close it like this, and then let's run. So I will need to close this so that what to print out will not be too many. So so now I just want to print this this place, so I'll just do shift enter like this. Okay, and here we are. So this is why we call it descriptive statistics. All right, so whenever you use this describe method, this is your descriptive statistics. All right, and this will help you to understand your data more better. All right, so you can see count, you can see mean, you can see standard deviation there, you can see minimum value 25%, 70%, and what does this mean? What does this mean? So, and that is what I want us to now cover. So the count here shows us the number of non null values. All right, so under symboling normalizing, you can see 201. So 101 values are non-null, meaning they are not empty. All right, they are not empty. Then the mean there is this is the average of the value. The mean here is the average of the value. All right, the average of the values that we have in each of the columns. Okay, so you can see under symboling, and the same thing continue on price, compression rate, and the rest. Then we have standard deviation. Standard deviation is the for you to understand how spread out the data are. All right, so the standard STD is standard deviation, which it tells you how spread out the data that we are dealing with are. All right, then we have the mean, which is the minimum value. All right, so if you look at it here, it's minus 2, and then with a decimal 00. All right, so this is the minimum, okay, that you have in each. Okay, under symbolism height, each of those columns, you can see the minimum value that you have there. Then you have your 25%. So 25% of the value. So under symboling, you can see that we have 0.00 there, meaning that no value fall below 25%. Okay, so the 25%, 50%, and the 75% can be seen as a situation where 25% of the values that we have in the data set fall below 25%. Then 50% is the middle number. All right, the middle number, and then 75% is saying that 75% of each of the value in each of the column fall below 75%, and then we have the maximum value there. All right, so this is how to understand your data data very well. Okay, so please, if you have any question, don't forget to drop it in the comment section. Okay, I will be happy to attend to it. All right, now that we've now understand describing, having a summary of our statistics for numerical columns, so we can now go ahead to now begin to how do we now analyze this data, because from what we've seen so far, something is not correct. Okay, if you look at these values, they are not correct. If you are coming from a mathematical background, you will be able to understand that. Look at here. Okay, so under this symbolic volume, normalize, so and then you bring that to come to under price. So there's certainly not it's not tallying. All right, so let's now begin to understand. Let's now begin to clean the data. Okay, let's clean the data. Now the first thing we need to do when cleaning the data is to handle missing values. This is very, very important. Handle missing values first, because there are, look at, okay, let me see if I can still open that file. Okay, so if we come here and then we open it, all right, from looking at the data set, you'll be able to tell that there are missing values. Okay, so look at this data very carefully. So there are places that there are missing values, and because there are missing values, if you do not handle them, you may run into an error in your analysis. Okay, so look at the data, the values that we are having here. All right, some of them may not even correspond. Okay, but then we need to now begin to for us to do a proper work, we need to handle missing values. All right, so let's continue. Okay, so let's go back here. Now that we've be able to describe and then understand our data, let's now handle missing values. So how do we handle missing values? So the first one we are going to do is we are going to call the dot replace. Okay, now I hope by now you know the reason why we are using the df. So I'll do df and I'll do equal to. Okay, no, not equal to, sorry. So I'll do dot, and then I'll now call the replace method. Okay, replace method, and then inside the replace method, I'll now pass in this question mark. What does this question mark do? So in the data set, the missing values will appear as a question mark. That's what we are trying to achieve here. So we'll do it like this. Now we now call the numpy. We call numpy and call the not a number like this. Okay, so we call the not a number, and then we replace it with true. So that's why I say, if you are just here and you don't understand Python, don't come here. So in Python, you will need to understand when you are calling, so here we are now calling the np dot not a number, and then we are replacing it with true. So anywhere that there's a question mark, meaning it is empty, it should be what? It should be replaced with what? A question mark. And by being replaced with a question mark, we can now be able to trace it and handle it properly. So that's what we want to do. So if we do it like this, so we'll do replace equal to true, and then we now want to print. Okay, we now want to print the missing value. So let's print it and see. So we'll do print, and then we now begin to pass in df, and then we call the dot is null. Okay, is null. We call the dot is null method, and then the dot null method we now call the sum method, so that I can sum them together. Okay, like this, and then so this will now count missing volume per what is it called? So this will now count missing values per column. Yes, so it will count missing values by what? By column. So when we run this, so I've commented the previous one, so let's now do shift enter, and let's see. Okay, so it's not seen. Oh, I put a dot there instead of comma. So that where is our replace? So here supposed to be a comma, not dot. All right, so let's run it again. We do shift and we hit enter. Okay, still that same line of code, df dot replace. All right, df dot replace, then question mark np dot. So what am I doing wrong here? Oh, sorry, it's not replace, it's in place. Okay, so let's replace it with in place, in place. And once we do it like this, so let's run it again. Okay, so let's run the code again like this. Okay, so I'm still also having error with the sum. Okay, oh sorry, it's not comma, it's full stop. Okay, so let's run it again. So yeah, now all of this thing is part of what you should know. All right, so now you can see that symbol in half 0. So we have now, this is how we can now, so all the integer data types are the ones that were having this 000. All right, so these are the columns that are having a null value. Now that we've been able to count missing values per column, so we need to fill them with a numerical values with the median. Remember what we did before. So, and why do we need to fill them with the missing median? So you may be asking, why are we filling why are we filling missing numerical values with median? So the reason is for us to be able to understand what we are dealing with. Okay, so it is a great strategy, especially when you are working with a data set as large as this and can contain outliers or skewed. Okay, so this is why we are using that method. So how do we do it? This is how we are going to do it. So first we need to find, so I'm going to comment this out. All right, so now first we need to now create a variable that will handle the numerical columns. Okay, so we'll do something like this. Okay, so now that we have been, so now here we now have the variable numerical columns, then normalized losses, then we have ball, stroke, horsepower, peak, RPM, price for column in numerical columns, and then we are getting the errors. So, and then ensuring numerical types. Okay, we are ensuring that there is no numerical error. Okay, so that's why we are doing that there. All right, so now if we run it, let's run it and see what we got. So okay, okay, let me not print it here. So let's continue now. So using the same approach, we can also create categorical columns where we drop, so using the categorical values where we fill missing categorical values. All right, so here we can fill in missing categorical values like this. All right, and then so we can also continue also by finding, dropping rows where critical prices like prices are still missing. Okay, so other columns that their values are still missing, we can also decide to remove them. So let's say for the price, for example, we can do something like this. Okay, so we are specifying that it should drop there should be where there are values in price, it should drop it. Okay, so where there are missing values in prices, it should drop it. And then we want to print the number of duplicated rows like this. Okay, so this is just the basic. So now I'll now hit enter like this, and then let's see the result. So you can see that the number of duplicate row that is giving us is 0. All right, so that's because the only one we printed is the number of duplicated rows. So okay, so it is no longer giving us a row with duplicated values. So now we can perform so many operations on this. Okay, so what I will do is let's now analyze some of this. Okay, so we can calculate the weight to power ratio. We can do so many things. Okay, so what I want us to do now is let's just do analysis. All right, let's analyze the price. Okay, so we are going to analyze the price and do a data visualization of the price. All right, so how do we do it? So I'm going to comment this print out, and then like this, and then let's do it. Now so I'll just drop it here, and then now, so here we are now going to do a figure. So where we look at the price, we get the average price. Okay, so when you are we are using the matplotlib. Okay, so and then when you are using matplotlib, you need to specify the figure and the size of your figure. Then you need to specify the bar plot. If you register for my 12 weeks, I'll be able to take you in depth on this. All right, we'll do this step by step. Okay, then you also need to specify the title, which is the average price by body. Okay, and then you want to rotate it by 45 degree, and then you specify the Y label, and remember this is the X tick and this is the Y label. So if we run this now, let's run this to see. So if I do shift enter, okay, so average price by body equal to, okay, it's not seeing it, come in. So we have average body by price here, where we are grouping the body. We are getting the mean of the price, and then so we are printing it. Okay, so if we run it, let's run it again. So come here and do shift enter like this. Okay, so now this is how it will appear. So based on this line of code, you can see that the average price by body is returning this. Okay, so this is what is returning. So, and is using their index. Okay, yeah, I told you when we're talking about list, I explained index, but then if you are going for my 12 weeks, you'll be able to understand data structure, and then I'll tell you about index more proper. All right, so this is the body size convertible, and then we have the hard top, and then we have the hatchback, and then set down, and then the wagon. So these are the different types of cars. Okay, the body style. All right, then you can see the visualization by the price. All right, so you can see them. So the one that is convertible, hard top, hatchback, sedan, wagon. Okay, so this is how beautiful data analysis can be. All right, so and you can do a whole lot more. This is data visualization of the average price. Okay, and you can do a whole lot more. Okay, where you can do price distribution by their make and all of that. So if you watch this video to the end, thank you so much. So if you are interested in the 12 weeks, the links is available, and then we can get you in immediately. See you tonight. I'll be showing you. We move to day 4 of our class. Okay, and which we'll be talking about. We'll move to day 4 of our program today. All right, so see you then.